You're listening to the Third Watch News update and alert. As you know, as Halloween is approaching, this is a really particularly difficult time to even discuss something I think is as important as in in cases with abuse victims, Halloween trick or treating safety tips. If you get lost, meet a designated spot, gas station, church, coffee shops nearby are just examples. Pay attention to the alerts and warnings code atoms and look both ways before crossing the street. Don't run across the street. Don't go out alone. Walk in a group. Parents, please check all items for sharp objects. Have a safe Halloween. Now, why I say that is because I know, even though I don't agree with a lot of things that are going on, I know that most people are probably going to be trick or treating. They particularly enjoy that type of, you know, they go out for trick or treating. The problem is, as I got older and as I have been through this most of my life, and most of you have as well, um, don't be disillusioned by some of the things that are going on. These are general alerts. One thing I know for a fact, because there's been an increase of sex trafficking online and because there's been an increase of assaults, we have to be much more proactive as a community, and we need more people to open up and talk about maybe their personal experiences as well. Child abuse recovery. We have a photo art gallery. It's hashtag Kids Help Kids. It's in memory of Erica Harkman. She was a caseworker who she worked and helped thousands and thousands of children. And she also was a child abuse forensic expert. She spoke nationwide about issues that we're talking about right here. When we talk about shaken baby syndrome to mental, sexual, verbal, physical abuse, I mean, it's a reality for us. I want to thank you, the sponsors over the last 30 years. The Tilly's North is our recent new sponsor, and also Dr. Hamilton, DMD and Zilly Noble, and Butler Beauty Academy, also Permani Brothers. We've had great success raising money for my nephew who was paralyzed. Now, I just want to give you an example of some concerns like the garbage. Those are things that come up. Some other issues with children. Of course, abortion, one of the bigger topics that we hear often more and more. There are reports coming out as far as topics on abortion itself. The reason we want to bring this to your, you know, we want to bring this to our blog post. It shouldn't go ignored, number one. It does. A lot of people don't know how to directly discuss it, but when it comes to sex and drugs trafficking, especially here recently with Bentley Miller's just recent case, this being in October 27, 2017, closer to Halloween. So we got to pay attention to the patterns of behavior, especially depending on who's approaching who, what they're saying. A lot of times, because it's such an awkward situation to be put in, you don't realize until after the fact. And especially whatever activities are going on in this area. And if you go to the Kids Life Safe app, you'll find out that there's probably over 200 offenders, depending on how serious the sex offenders are. Most of them shouldn't be walking the streets, but they do. And that's the concern. So we called the Butler Police to have additional patrols. And to me, the Second Amendment issue, having talked to Representative Metcalf's office about this, it's bothersome to even to go down the road we had to go, and then to end up being disarmed as not only victims but also veterans. So to me, it's a double-edged sword, and the idea that they would use the domestic violence issue to push this propaganda. And I'm a domestic violence victim survivor. I have the reports to back it up. So we're probably most likely going to be at Harrisburg at some point. We've wrote letter after letter to representatives on HB 951. HB 951 was window legislation that has been shelved since I think, since 2006, when victims want to sue their offenders. That means suing their estate. In our case, our offender died in 2016. He had two large, massive mansion-like properties. And for us to go and sue for injuries, including like broken legs, Like my sister had a broken leg. She was 5 years old when she was in the daycare center, and there were other children as well. So just the legislation alone, just to tackle the topic on the legislation, just to be able to sue their estate, that there's statute of limitations, and it's only from what I understand, you have to be 30 years old in order to sue. I mean, to extend it to 50 years has been kind of the controversy here. It's been an emotional topic, as you know. And there's a lot of comments that have been made online. There's been a lot of awkward situations. So when I look at the topics that we're going to be covering, like we're going to talk about the Internet Safety Cat, and we're going to talk about much more. Talk about what we need to do when we're by ourselves and who we need to speak to from here. It's really important that we tackle the topics and much more. We're going to tackle a lot of topics. Armstrong Cable has Meet Webby, an Internet Safety Cat children's educational coloring activity book, and you could go to ArmstrongOneWire.com to get the book. It goes into a little bit more detail on how to help children, as well as there's a Baltimore incident that occurred last August, and there's some other things that we're going to talk about. The most important role, and this is from this book, never give out your personal information about yourself. This means your name, home address, and the name of your school or your telephone. Never send pictures without first checking out with your parents and grown-ups. Other things, never agree to get together with someone you meet online first without checking with a grown-up if they say it's okay. Be sure to meet in a public place and bring a grown-up along. Remember, people online may not be who they say they are. Always tell a grown-up right away if you come across any information that makes you uncomfortable or scared. And that's generally what's been going on. Now we have a Vote Judge Barbie campaign here at our post because we really are trying to address these topics. Set up online rules. Don't respond to any messages that are mean or make you feel uncomfortable. Remember, it's not your fault. If you get icky messages, be sure to tell grown-ups when it happens. Never ever give out your internet password to anyone, even if your best friends except your parents. Ask permission before downloading and installing software, doing anything that could possibly hurt your computer or risk your family's privacy. And then there's a couple things that you can do on this workbook to help address it. And as a wrap up, never give out your personal information online. Ask permission before sending your pictures. Never give out your phone number, address. Tell a grown-up if you have been approached or somebody asks you questions. Don't download any software or files without permission, and on in here. So as a wrap up, I just want to state this. It's time to laugh. Have some fun. Meet Webby, the Internet Safety Cat. I promise to practice good internet safety and follow the rules that Webby taught me. And then you sign your agreement. And to me, this is a very good way to work with your community, especially DARE programs, and also programs that help elementary school teachers and parents address issues when it comes to online predators. Thank you for listening to our post.